Hi, I'm Annie Duke. Up until the age of 26, I was on a career path to become an academic and researcher in cognitive psychology. I spent 5 years at the University of Pennsylvania, earning a National Science Foundation fellowship and completing my doctoral coursework, as well as the research for my dissertation. In the winter of my last year of graduate school, I was also battling a chronic stomach disorder. My plan was to tough it out, get through my job talks, finish my dissertation, and then turn my attention to my health. A few days before my first job talk, my body rejected this plan. I ended up in the hospital for a couple of weeks. I had to delay going on the job market. Because my body demanded I take a leave from graduate school, I no longer had the fellowship that provided me with a modest stipend to live on. I really needed money. That's when I started playing poker as something to do in the meantime. I fell in love with the challenges of poker. I had been studying learning and cognition, and poker was a real-life, high-stakes application of those subjects. I loved the constant test of excelling in a decision-making environment with so much uncertainty. So in the meantime, ended up lasting for 18 years, during which I eventually earned a World Series of Poker Championship bracelet, the WSOP Tournament of Champions, and the NBC National Heads Up Poker Championship, and had a very fruitful career as a professional poker player, retiring from the game in 2012. One of the most important things I learned during my time in poker was that making good quitting decisions might be the key skill separating great players from amateurs. The first and most consequential decision a player makes is whether to fold their starting cards. Professionals quit at the outset of the hand far more than amateurs. Pros play a mere 15 to 25% of the two-card starting combinations they are dealt in Texas Hold'em. Compare that to an amateur who will stick with their starting cards over half the time. It's hard to fold a hand when there are so many cards yet to be dealt. The first time you fold a hand that would have won if you had just stuck it out is painful. It is the reason you will hear players often say that any two cards can win. It is true that luck can always intervene in your favor, but the best players know not to rely on luck going their way and rather to only play hands that have favorable odds of winning. And that means they have to be okay with folding lots of hands early that might have raked in big pots if they had just stuck with it. If folding is difficult for amateurs at the beginning of a hand, it's even more difficult once a player has committed money to the pot. That pushes players toward continuing rather than cutting their losses, because folding is a guarantee that the player will lose the chips they have already committed. Staying in the hand is the only way to preserve some hope of winning it. Not folding enough is the main reason most players don't win over the long run, and the best poker players avoid that trap. It's one of the many places where professional poker players understand that quitting is a decision skill that is worth getting good at. There's something very counterintuitive about the idea that quitting can be a good thing. We don't like the idea of quitting. Not surprisingly, we aren't very good at it. But what great poker players know is that winners quit a lot. In fact, that's how they win. I wrote quit because it's high time we rehabilitate the word.